Hello guys, Atomic Dudman here. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of BioWare or Begone, where I give you a bluntly honest review without developer sponsorships to sway my ruthless ratings of the games I cover. Today we are going to take a look at EA BioWare's Anthem, that released on February 22nd of 2019 on the Xbox One, PS4, and the PC. The gods have deserted the world on which you reside within, leaving their tools of creation behind, named the Anthem of Creation. You are one of the very few freelancers that are the heroes and protectors of the weak and the innocent. You are loved by all. That is, until the day the freelancers fail to protect their people from the Dominion invasion, resulting in high casualties. This marked the day the freelancers fell from grace, no longer respected, no longer loved, an outcast to the people they once protected. The Dominion were eradicated, hiding in the shadows for years until they emerge once more, attempting to harbor the Anthem of Creation in hopes to rule the world. But the thing is, you, freelancer, are the only thing that can stop the Dominion. Will you take this contract to redeem yourself? Or will you turn your back and let those innocents that you once protected perish? What will you choose? The gameplay is surprisingly satisfying when you are not stuck in the various loading screens that Anthem is plagued with, from shooting a small variety of different enemy types to soaring through the skies in your own personal javelin. Anthem's core gameplay is decently well-rounded for the time being. It generally is very fun to kill enemies for the first few hours of the game, and enjoyable to see your levels slowly rise within the process. Anthem also rarely has interesting moment-to-moment gameplay that really spices it up when you're playing with other people online. I found it entertaining and quite funny that at the end of any mission, all four players in co-op would throw glow sticks at one another's helmets, watching them bounce off and fall to the ground, laughing at the stupidity of it. Also, there are environmental effects on your armor. Like when it rains out, it prevents your javelin from overheating, and if you dive bomb or fly through a waterfall, it fully cools off your suit. The progression in Anthem starts to slowly lag behind the further you get into the game. There's no throttling, but the grind does not feel as satisfying or rewarding enough to the player themselves. Yes, you get a ton of loot within this looter shooter, but the loot has little to no intrinsic value, as you get duplicates of the same item all the time. This gets frustrating and overall annoying because you simply feel that you're never going to get helpful and or effective gear for your javelin suit. At a certain point, I was absolutely infuriated to the point I stopped playing for the night. Honestly, what game fucking gives you bullshit chests and that's part of a main fucking quest that enables you to not be able to access other parts of the game? This game's fucking bullshit, dude. The hell does that? What the fuck? There's a certain point in the game where you have to complete these challenges to open these overly underwhelming tombs that have no narrative value to them or to the player at all. These tombs have you go and complete certain activities in free play. One tomb requires you to collect 15 chests that are server based, which means that anyone can grab them in the server, then they are gone. The worst part about this is it is required for you to progress throughout the story, and is the biggest pain in the ass you could ever deal with. Why they put this into the game, I don't know. Maybe to piss off fellow gamers. When it comes down to the graphics, this is where you can tell a lump sum of this game's funding was invested in. The world looks absolutely incredible, jaw-dropping, astounding, to the rich, lush greenery sprouting from rocks, vines hanging from trees, to the roaring waterfalls that lead into an underwater alien metropolis filled with bioluminescent jellyfish that have such an alluring glow. When you are roaming around and taking in the scenery, Anthem definitely is marvelous to look at when flying around, but when it comes down to the special effects from the characters' abilities, equipment, and powers, this game beams even brighter. From the vast array of colors, blue, red, yellow, green, orange, it can sometimes almost become overwhelming in battle, because there is so much color and effects occurring in one instant. The audio is fairly good in this game. Gunshots crashing, thrashing, cutting, booming explosions, trickling water, rushing air, all sound decently fluid and clear throughout the game. At some points, gunshot audio does not register, and it breaks the immersion of firing your weapon, but then it kind of fixes itself along the way. But still, the audio is fairly good. The story, cutscenes, and voice acting is one of the greatest tragedies within Anthem in 2019. Why do I say this? Well, let me explain. The story is absolutely cheesy and corny when you listen to the dialogue because the voice actors didn't seem to sell the emotion behind what they were saying. The cutscenes were very well laid out with phenomenal face movements, but the biggest issue is, with these facial expressions, they seemed over exaggerated to the point of being on the brink of ridiculous, but also humorous to endure. The story has an extremely weak plot with one of the most generic villains I've ever seen in quite some time. The main villain, named the Monitor, is just a ruthless killer that has the goal of world domination and will kill anyone that stands in his way. Does this sound familiar? I think so. Furthermore, there is little to no character development to the point that you just don't care about any NPCs and what they have to say in the game, or to even speak to them. You lose almost all interest in the story early on. You further lack to care due to the feeling that there is no real threat and there is no tension in the game because the main antagonist doesn't pose as much of a threat as the game tries to set you up to believe. All the quests in the game are a boring chore of collect this or guard that. The first few minutes in the game, within the tutorial, have you already experiencing a majority of the game's game loop by guarding a specific area. The pacing in the story just seemed to drag on all the time, and the NPCs never seemed to just shut up. They talk and they talk and they talk about random things you just couldn't give a damn about. You could care less. They give you their entire life story beginning to end and seem to have no filter and just won't stop unless you run away. Monetization in a game published by EA is always expected in today's industry, unfortunately, but the cosmetic-only sales model in Anthem is a complete and utter joke, and also adding insult to consumers that play the game. The skins that are offered look half-assed and thrown together, with minimum effort put into them. There's barely any options to customize your javelin because there's no armor variants in the game to earn. And the ones that are in the game you have to pay top dollar for because it is too difficult and near impossible to earn the in-game currency to buy such variants. The attempt at monetizing this game is an absolute pathetic attempt to grab towards players' wallets. The pro-con countdown. Pros. Anthem has amazing graphics. Cinematics are visually appealing, load times are slightly improved from the day one patch, environmental effects impact your suit. AI health was rescaled to make enemies feel less like a bullet sponge. Tons of cool items are up for grabs if one shelled out the extra money for the Ultimate Edition. More NPCs residing within Fort Tarsus, which is where you receive quests from the story. Shows teammates at all times on your screen during co-op. It's fun to kill enemies, fly around, and level up. They also added a screen to choose where you want to spawn at after a mission. There's awesome face animations on models of people and NPCs. Moment-to-moment gameplay is quite thrilling. Visual effects are beautiful during combat, but sometimes overwhelming. Moderate class variety between different javelins to choose from. And the game attempts to have an immersive story, but does lack, but giving it points to have the balls to try, even though they failed. Cons. Loading screens plague this game at every inch and at every corner. If Anthem was Europe during the 14th century, the loading screens would be the Black Death and we'd all be screwed. Loading screens are everywhere in this game, even in places where they are unnecessary. Just as someone wants to customize their javelin, they are hit with a fucking loading screen. Story is immensely broken and hard to stay interested in due to the repetitive gaming loop of guard and collect quests, poor acting, mediocre character development, lack of tension due to having such a generic villain, and the game is not seamless, which breaks immersion and the experience due to all the fucking loading screens that are in the game. The game has a crap interface that is confusing to use and hard to navigate. There is slow character progression. The pacing of the story is near to a crawl. There's annoying NPCs everywhere that never shut up. There's unlimited trash loot that holds no real reward or value. There's no diversity in gun textures based upon their rarities. They all look similar. There's non-intelligent AI. They sit there and let you shoot them in the face. There's no loot variety. Duplicates upon duplicates are always given. Chore-like quests of collect and guard. Endgame consists of 3 strongholds, which one of them was recycled from the demo. There's horrible voice acting. The game lacks any valued content that's actually worth playing. There's effortless microtransactions that are complete dumpster fires. And there's little to no customization options for your Javelin unless you purchase the Legion of Dawn edition of Anthem. This review was hard to make because it is well known that BioWare needed Anthem to do well, because they have not been making quality games of lately, and they have not been successful. EA is their publisher and always keeps tabs on who and who isn't making heaps of money for the company. This game, most likely, is BioWare's last title. Anyway, back on track. The final verdict is a solid 5 out of 10. 50%, barely passing as a mediocre game. I am giving this game the shameful stamp of buyer begone. Do not purchase this game. It is not worth your time or the money that the game is currently priced at. Even if someone is willing to give it to you for free, I suggest you decline. You have been warned. Save your money for another looter shooter. The Division 2 is on the horizon, so let's hope that it's troves better than Anthem. This game does have potential, but I am sick and tired of games coming out and being so unpolished, so unfinished, so broken, in such a state of disaster with promises to get better. I do not know what BioWare was doing for 6 years, but it definitely is not showing in the final product of Anthem. Thank you for joining me on another episode of BioWare Begone with me, Atomic Dudman, and until next time. Congratulations for finishing the video, and thank you for tuning in today. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to see more of my future content. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, why not drop a like to show your support for my channel. Stay tuned for more videos coming right your way. Stay nuclear, and until next time.